Central, friends, co-workers, customers, um, enthusiasts, people interested in Business Central. Thank you for joining my channel today. As I promised some time ago, I want to talk about security groups, which a few videos ago I mentioned that this is something quite recent, introduced by Microsoft. And I mean, the context in which they've been introduced, it wasn't just one concept introduced. There were a bunch of changes, and if we were to look at my screen in this Microsoft Note, there were a few things Microsoft introduced in Central 2023 Wave 1. And one of them was composite permission sets. A new way of generating new permission sets by combining two or more permission sets, and even by excluding some permission sets. And all that is there is a Microsoft Learn page where you can read about it and get yourself familiar with them. I also have a video on composing permission sets, which is this one. And in that video, it wasn't only the topic that was in the title of the video, which was the inherent permissions. I've been also talking about include permission sets and exclude permission sets. Therefore, this composing new way of generating permission sets by composing existing permission sets. And before we jump into security groups, a new thing that Microsoft worked on was how to make not permissions, but bringing users from Active Directory into Business Central. And we're talking here about the Azure Active Directory. Okay, so that change which I expressed here, it is related to synchronizing users between Azure AD and or Microsoft 365 and Business Central. In short, what that code change has done is before, and we should probably open up Business Central. As you probably know, we could import users from Azure using, on the users page, this action, update users from Microsoft 365. And before we go there, let's go to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and let's check the users, active users. And when we look at all these users, this is a training environment. It's just the generic data that's coming with the training environment. But we can see here that Alan, Alicia, and the admin have a Dynamics 365 Business Central license. So that's the situation right now. We only have 3 users with Dynamics 365 Business Central license. If we move back here, we can see that these 3 users have been brought in. So what the change that made this synchronization of the users more efficient is that now if we do update users from Microsoft 365, yes, we're seeing the same, I think it was before, the same message, the welcome message, and then just the fact that there is no update, you can exit the guide. So there was, in the current version of Business Central, which is, I think is 22.3. Let's just check. So in the current version of 22.3, when we clicked on update users from Microsoft 365, the system didn't do anything because I imported these 3 users already. But before, when you did update users from 365, you would get all the users from Microsoft 365, regardless of if they have a Business Central license or not. Let's just, to prove that, let's just attach a license to one of the users. Let's say, let's give Anne Wheeler Business Central license. Back to Business Central, and we're trying to pull again the users from Microsoft 365. We can see that it brought in 4 users, in fact only 1, because the other 3 and there's a confirmation screen if we want to add. Okay, so it's not 4 users but 4 sets of data that is coming from Microsoft 365. Contact, authentication, email, full name, and the plan. If we click finish, we can see now Anne being brought in Business Central. And yeah, so yeah, it's a welcome change, because if we were bringing, and it happened in the past, bringing all users, even those without license, could be confusing. So that's a welcome change. All right, so that would be what Microsoft changed around access to Business Central with Business Central 2023 Wave 1. Today is to go over the security groups. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a security group with a new security group in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We're going to bring that security group in BC, and we'll see how we can manage the permissions and the users or the members of that security group. So let's get going. In Microsoft 365, let's maybe make Carlos also a Business Central user. And if we try to bring it in, we got Carlos here. Okay. So in 365 Admin Center, we go to active teams and groups, and let's assume these guys that we just brought in, Ann Wheeler and Carlos Grillo, are part of a group called Finance. So the first thing we do after we clicked on adding a new group, we need to decide what type of outcome we need to get to with this new group. And there are 4 types of groups here. Depending on what you want to use that group for, you can choose a Microsoft 365. This works well with Teams, Microsoft Teams groups, distributions, if you want to have a distribution email group, mail enabled security, this is for OneDrive and SharePoint, and security is also OneDrive, SharePoint, but also Business Central. So let's choose security. We click next, basic new group, let's call it Finance. And next, we're done. We have created the new group. If we look here under security, we've got a new group, Finance. And when we click on the Finance, what we can see is that we can add a group owner or owners, and we can also add members. So what we're going to do in the owner, we're going to make admin owner. And we're going to make the last 2 guys. We generated which Ann and Carlo. Okay, so the security group is created in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. It's called Finance, and it has 2 users that we just added in. Moving to Business Central, let's bring the 2 users first. And we have them here. And after that, let's create a security group. Create a new one. We're going to connect to Microsoft 365 and check what security groups we have there. We have Finance here. We want to bring it in and create. When we bring it in, we can see in the fact boxes area here that we have already 2 members, the ones that were initially added in Microsoft 365. And if we go to permissions, we can add in here, let's add some more permissions. Let's say maybe, I don't know, Shopify maybe. Yeah, let's add Shopify. And we can see Shopify a permission for this, a permission set for this security group. Let's go to users list page and check one more time what we have there. We have Anne, and one fact box is just giving us all the default permission sets with her license, which was a full license. And we have also permission sets coming from the security groups. This is the one that we just added, and she is part of a security group membership finance. No user group. Okay. This is how we generate a new security group in Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and we are syncing it in Business Central. By syncing it, we get the users assigned to it, and we can also assign permission sets to that security group. Let's check now, because security groups will be the next method through which we get access to Business Central. User groups will be obsolete at some point. And let's have a look here in the feature management. But this feature, convert user group permission, this is gonna be automatically enabled in version 25. Okay, so then let's as a last exercise for today, let's imagine this use case. We have a user group in Business Central, and we want to convert that user group to a security group. How would we do that? For now, let's just create first of all, let's take the security group that we just added. Let's remove that. Let's check users. Okay, the permission set that was coming from the finance security group is now removed. Same for Carlos. And let's create a user group. User groups will be removed in a feature release. Yeah, we know that. You have no user groups defined. Enable feature convert user group permissions to hide fields, pages, and UI elements. So let's create a user group. Let's say finance user group, and let's add members to it. The same too. We see them here, and let's add one permission. Let's search for the same one, maybe Shopify admin. Okay, and out. And we have a user group with two members and one permission set. We could probably check if indeed not this users, if indeed N has that permission set, Shopify admin is here. We see also the user group to which she was assigned. If we want to see the next guy, Carlos, same thing, all good. Now, so what do we have now? We have now a user group, and if we look at security groups, we have no security group. So this is kind of the use case with a lot of customers now. We have on a lot of databases we have users groups only, but we need to move to security groups. So let's see how that goes. If we want to get rid of the user group and migrate all the users and permissions in a user group to security groups. For that, we go to feature management and we select the feature and we say we are enabling it. Yes, we know we have a user group. Do you want to run the user group conversion guide? Yes. Let's run the user group conversion guide. We need to specify how to convert the user groups. Afterward, your user groups will be removed. Okay, if you regret removing user groups, you can turn off the convert user group permission feature. Switch on the feature management. You'll have to manually recreate the user groups. Okay, so that's why we gotta do it in test in a sandbox first. Specify how to convert the permissions that are assigned to each user group. So we have the Shopify admin in the finance user group, and we want to create a security group that replaces that. We can assign permissions to members. So what's happening is we're getting rid of the finance user group, but all the permissions in that finance user group will be moved under permission sets on the user card if we go with that first choice. If we go with the second choice, convert to a permission set, what's going to happen is the system will create a new permission set for the finance user group, in which there was only one permission set, which was the Shopify admin, and that new permission set will be assigned to all the members in that user group. That seems to me more like my case for my customers. So let's try that, convert to a permission set. Okay. If we go to users and we look at N finance user group, this is the new permission set, and if we were to check permissions, we would see that includes the Shopify admin. So with this, the users making sure that the user groups were before they were removed, the resultant of their permission sets was added as a permission set in for the user. So we got rid of the user group, and the resultant permission set of all the permission sets for that group was added as a permission set for the user. So check Carlos. Carlos has the same permission. Let's see security groups. There is no security group. If we want to create a security group for finance, and if we want to add we can see now that the permission set from security group is the finance user group. And now what we can do is we can delete the permission set from here. So now the permissions in the permission set finance user group will come only from this security group. So let's go ahead and delete this line. And delete this line. And yes, now it looks more clean. We have the finance user group permission set, which was the Shopify admin, coming from this new security group. So in a way, it's what the migration from the user group does to the security group. What this migration does is combining all the permission sets for a group. It creates a new permission set, a combined permission set. It's assigning the combined permission set to the user, and this is where it stops. If you want to really transition to security groups, we can create a security group and add, basically just sync the security group with members from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and from there we can assign the resultant permission set from the user group to the security group. And that, I think that it takes us to the end of this video. So to summarize everything, there were a few changes done around permissions and access to BC, and one of them, I've been talking about it, the first two, actually, the composing permission set and the inherent permissions. There is a video, you can watch it. If you didn't watch it, you can rewatch it if you already watched it. Those two are very important. Some changes around how update users from Microsoft 365 works right now. Let's see, was update users from Microsoft 365. I was right about the name. watching what happened around that action, what Microsoft did to make it more efficient. And then the security groups, we saw how that works. We create the security group and we assigned permissions to it because members were already coming from Microsoft 365. And then the last thing was to cover how do we convert user groups to security groups. Friends, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.